Sometimes the oldest words feel quiet but heavy. They sit beside us and wait. When we read them honestly, they do not shout about the future. They simply ask us to look at ourselves. If you're interested in understanding how ancient texts speak to modern times, subscribe and stay with me as we explore this carefully, not to be convinced of anything, but to notice what these old reflections might still be showing us today. The Book of Enoch is one of those texts that does not rush. It was written long ago and was respected by many early readers, even though it did not become part of most modern Bibles. It speaks in symbols and images. It does not read like history, it reads like observation. Enoch watches humanity. He listens. He describes what he sees when human wisdom begins to fade and pride grows louder than understanding. When the Book of Enoch speaks about a final generation, it is not pointing to a date on a calendar. It is not counting years or warning of a sudden end. It is describing a pattern, a way people think, a way societies behave when certain values weaken and certain desires take their place. The language sounds distant, but the ideas feel familiar. In Enoch's vision, people become impressed with their own strength. Knowledge increases, but wisdom does not grow with it. Authority is loved more than responsibility. Power becomes a goal instead of a burden. These are not predictions, they are reflections. They describe what happens when human focus shifts inward and upward at the same time. One theme that appears again and again is pride. Not confidence, not self-respect, but pride that disconnects people from humility. Pride that refuses correction. Pride that listens only to itself. In the text, this pride does not arrive suddenly. It builds slowly. It grows when people stop asking why they do things and start only asking what they can gain. Another theme is corruption, but not just in systems. It appears first in the heart. Enoch describes a loss of fairness where people adjust truth to suit their goals. Justice becomes selective. Words become tools instead of bridges. This kind of corruption is quiet. It feels reasonable while it happens. That is why it is so hard to notice. The Book of Enoch also speaks about a loss of wisdom. Not intelligence, not skill. Wisdom is different. Wisdom connects knowledge to care. When wisdom fades, people know more but understand less. They can explain the world but struggle to live well inside it. Enoch's writing suggests that when wisdom is ignored, society becomes louder, faster, and less patient.
There is also a deep concern with power. In Enoch's vision, power is chased without reflection. Leaders forget that authority exists to protect, not to dominate. People admire control more than character. This obsession does not look evil at first. It looks efficient. It looks strong. But over time, it creates distance between people and the values that once guided them. Another quiet theme is separation. Separation from moral grounding. Separation from shared meaning. Separation from the idea that life is more than achievement. Enoch describes people becoming disconnected, not only from God, but from each other. Relationships weaken. Trust becomes rare. People stand closer physically, but feel further apart inside. When modern readers encounter these ideas, it is easy to feel uncomfortable. The descriptions sound close to home, but it is important to pause here. The Book of Enoch is not saying this only happens once. It is not naming one generation. It is describing a cycle that repeats when humans forget certain lessons. Every generation believes it lives at a turning point. This is not arrogance, it is emotional. People experience their own time more deeply than any other. They feel its pressures, they witness its changes. So when they read ancient warnings, they naturally see their own world reflected back. That does not mean they are wrong. It means they are human. There is also a psychological reason for this. Humans search for meaning during times of uncertainty. Ancient texts offer language for feelings that are hard to explain. When society changes quickly, people look backward to understand what is happening now. They use old symbols to frame new experiences. This does not make the text less valuable. It shows how deeply it still speaks. The Book of Enoch does not tell readers to panic. It does not urge escape. Instead, it quietly reminds them that patterns can be noticed, and once noticed, they can be questioned. The text assumes awareness matters, that reflection itself is an act of responsibility. One of the most striking things about Enoch is how calm it is. Even when describing decline, the tone is not frantic. It feels steady, observant, almost patient, as if the message is not about stopping time, but about understanding it. When we connect these themes to modern life, it is important to do so gently. Today's world is complex. Technology changes how we speak and think. Systems are larger. Information moves faster. But human nature has not changed as much as we think. Pride still tempts. Power still attracts. Wisdom still requires effort.
The Book of Enoch invites readers to ask simple questions. Are we listening as much as we are speaking? Are we learning or only accumulating information? Are we building structures that serve people or people who serve structures? These questions are not accusations, they are mirrors. It is also worth remembering that ancient writers often used strong language to hold attention. Symbolism was their way of teaching. When Enoch speaks of a final generation, he may be pointing to moments when humanity reaches a moral edge, not an ending, but a choice, a chance to turn back toward balance. This is why the text remains meaningful, not because it predicts what will happen, but because it describes what tends to happen. It respects the reader enough to let them decide how to respond. In a way, the Book of Enoch trusts humanity. It believes people are capable of reflection, capable of change, capable of noticing when they are drifting. That may be its most important message. So when we read Enoch today, we are not being warned of destruction. We are being invited into awareness, to slow down, to look honestly, to reconnect wisdom with knowledge, to remember that power without humility weakens over time. Ancient texts endure not because they explain the future, but because they help us understand ourselves. And when we approach them calmly, without fear, they often speak with surprising clarity. The Book of Enoch does not tell us that this is the last generation. It reminds us that every generation faces the same inner tests. How we respond to them is always the open question.